Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into some heavy topics, but stick with me, because understanding them is the first step to solving them. We talk a lot about big, visible threats like climate change. We see the wildfires, the floods, the melting ice caps. It's tangible, it's frightening, and it's right in our faces. But what if I told you there's another global crisis unfolding, one that's largely invisible, yet has the potential to send modern medicine back to the dark ages? This is the silent pandemic of antimicrobial resistance, or AMR. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's happening right now. The antibiotics that have been the bedrock of modern medicine for nearly a century are losing their power. From a simple scraped knee to major surgeries like organ transplants or life-saving chemotherapy, we rely on antibiotics to prevent and treat bacterial infections. But through decades of overuse and misuse, not just in human medicine, but massively in agriculture and livestock farming, we've been accidentally training bacteria to become stronger. We've been teaching them how to survive our best weapons. These superbugs are evolving faster than we can create new drugs to fight them. The World Health Organization isn't mincing words. They've declared AMR one of the top 10 global public health threats we face. The numbers are staggering and, frankly, terrifying. Right now, it's estimated that drug-resistant infections are responsible for over 1.2 million deaths every single year. That's already more than HIV, AIDS, or malaria. But the projections are even grimmer. If we don't change course, by the year 2050, that number could skyrocket to 10 million deaths annually. Think about that for a moment. 10 million lives a year. That's more than the current annual death toll from cancer. It means a world where a routine operation becomes a life-threatening gamble. A simple urinary tract infection could become fatal. The medical progress we've made over the last century could be completely undone. This isn't a distant, abstract problem. It's a very real crisis that is already in motion, silently gaining momentum with each passing day. And it gets more complicated. The threat of AMR doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's deeply connected to our environment. We often overlook this, but things like pharmaceutical waste from factories, agricultural runoff full of antibiotics from farms, and even poorly managed sewage systems are leaking resistant bacteria and their genes into our soil and water. Our ecosystems are becoming reservoirs for superbugs. And here's where it connects back to that other big crisis: climate change. Warmer temperatures actually help bacteria grow and multiply faster. Extreme weather events, like floods and hurricanes, can then spread these resistant strains across vast new areas, contaminating water supplies and exposing more people. So, tackling AMR isn't just about being smarter with prescriptions. It demands what experts call a One Health approach, recognizing that the health of people, animals, and our environment are all intricately linked. We can't solve one without addressing the others. But there's a third crisis, a third epidemic, that's weaving its way through all of this. It's the one happening inside our own minds: the escalating global mental health crisis. In parallel with the threats to our planet and our physical health, we are facing an unprecedented wave of depression, anxiety, and stress-related disorders. The pressures of modern life, socioeconomic instability, the constant barrage of information from our screens, and the existential dread of ecological uncertainty are taking a massive toll. The COVID-19 pandemic threw this into a harsh, unavoidable light. The isolation, the grief, the fear, and the economic fallout shattered our collective sense of well-being. But the cracks were already there. Even before the pandemic, mental health disorders were a leading cause of disability worldwide. In many parts of the world, especially in lower-resource countries, the support systems and infrastructure to help people cope are simply not there, leaving millions to suffer in silence. This isn't a secondary issue. It's a fundamental part of our overall health, and our changing planet is directly impacting our mental landscapes. There are new terms for the feelings many of us are experiencing: eco-anxiety, solastalgia, and climate grief. It's the profound sadness and fear, especially among young people, of inheriting a degraded and unstable world. For communities on the front lines of climate change, who are hit again and again by disasters like hurricanes, droughts, or wildfires, the psychological impact is immense. We see spikes in trauma, depression, and PTSD. This tells us that building climate resilience isn't just about building seawalls. It's about building mental resilience too. So we have these three massive crises: climate change, antimicrobial resistance, and mental health. The crucial thing to understand is that they don't operate in separate lanes. They are deeply interconnected, feeding into and amplifying one another in what public health experts call a syndemic. It's a synergy of epidemics, where the whole is far more dangerous than the sum of its parts. Let me give you an example of how this works. A climate-driven disaster, like a prolonged drought, leads to food and water insecurity. This can force people to move, often to overcrowded areas with poor sanitation. In these desperate conditions, unregulated or counterfeit antibiotics might be used to treat common illnesses, which in turn accelerates the development of drug-resistant bacteria. At the same time, the trauma of displacement, the loss of livelihood, and the constant stress of survival create a mental health crisis, weakening the community's ability to cope and recover. See how it all links together? Climate change worsens AMR, and both of them devastate our mental health. Understanding this web of connections is absolutely critical if we want to find solutions that actually work. So, where do we go from here? It sounds overwhelming, I know, but recognizing these interconnections is actually our greatest strength. It shows us the path forward, which is one of integration, innovation, and equity. We can't tackle these problems with siloed thinking anymore. First, climate action is health action. When we invest in renewable energy, when we build sustainable food systems, and when we create climate-resilient infrastructure, we aren't just cutting emissions. We are also cleaning our air, protecting our water, and creating healthier, more stable communities. This reduces the burden of disease and, in turn, can lessen the need for antibiotics. Second, we have to get serious about combating AMR. This means implementing strict antibiotic stewardship in hospitals and clinics, ensuring these precious medicines are only used when absolutely necessary. It means strengthening our surveillance systems to track the spread of resistant bacteria. And, crucially, it means regulating the use of antibiotics in agriculture and stopping the flow of pharmaceutical waste into our environment. Third, we must integrate mental health into everything we do. Mental well-being can't be an afterthought or a luxury. Psychological support needs to be a core part of disaster response, embedded in primary health care, and available in our communities. Supporting our mental health is just as essential as any other public health measure. And finally, none of this is possible without global solidarity. We need international cooperation, led by organizations like the WHO and the UN, to share knowledge, pool funding, and ensure that new treatments, vaccines, and support systems are accessible to everyone, not just the wealthy. Equity is not optional. It's essential for our collective survival. We truly are at a crossroads. The combined weight of climate change, antimicrobial resistance, and the mental health crisis is immense. It threatens to undo so much of the progress humanity has made. But, and this is the important part, these intertwined challenges also offer us a profound opportunity, an opportunity to completely reimagine what health means. To see it not just as the absence of disease in an individual, but as the well-being of our entire planetary system. Protecting our health in the 21st century means protecting the Earth itself. It means safeguarding the power of our medicines for future generations. And it means honoring and protecting the human spirit in the face of unprecedented change. The task ahead is enormous, but so is our capacity for collective action, for innovation, and for compassion. Thanks so much for watching and for taking the time to engage with these important ideas. If you found this video valuable, please give it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the issues shaping our world. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.